Hello there, welcome to Craft with Fee. So the 12 weeks of Christmas stitch along is now over, and so we are now going to convert to some very simple little projects right up until Christmas. So I wasn't sure what I was going to make this week, but I'd been making this little piece star for a swap gift because I'm in a swap in the Tilda group. And so I made this little star, and you can see here it's been beautifully fussy cut. It's got little bunnies on it, even though they're not Christmassy. Tilda doesn't actually produce any Christmas fabric, so I had to come up with something that was a little bit Christmassy. So I chose this beautiful red from the Bon Voyage range, and it just happened to have a little bunny in it, so I decided I was going to fussy cut it. So then I got to thinking, well, maybe that might make a nice Christmas decoration, something that I can also pop into the swap gift. So I decided, well, that's what we were going to do. So there is a free download sheet for you to download, and it's got these little diamonds on it, and you can cut them out using, just print them straight onto the cardboard and then just cut them out. You can use a rotary cutter to cut them out on the lines if you want. Now, I made a template, and my template's a two-piece template, so it's got the middle piece here, which is the same size as the paper, and then it has the larger piece, which has got the seam allowance on it. And so to fussy cut, what I like to do is to get a Sharpie pen on my little bit of plastic. Now, this is overhead projector plastic, and it's very easy to use, and of course it's quite disposable in the fact that it's you can do your fussy cutting and you can then get rid of it, or you can just get some alcohol wipes or alcohol and you can actually take off this writing with the Sharpie pen, and you can remove it, and so you can do your next bit of fussy cutting. So I've actually fussy cut all my pieces except for one because I wanted to come on and show you how I do it. So here is the piece with the bunny. Now, when you're fussy cutting, it can be quite wasteful because you are trying to get a pattern repeat. If I can just zoom out a little bit, I'll go that way. Yep, you can see here that I've got these two here have been cut. And then, of course, here's the next pattern repeat here, which is what I'm looking for. So I will just zoom back into that so that you can see it. And I'll just turn my phone off, which I always do, and this time I didn't. Okay, so what we're going to do is get our shape, our little template of our shape. And what I've done is I've placed it on the same pattern repeat each time. And so what I do is I actually trace off 3 or 4 elements with my Sharpie pen onto the plastic so that I can get my template in exactly the same spot as I had it before. And so hopefully you can see there that I've lined up the flowers. So these flowers here have been lined up again. And this long line here is actually this one here on the pattern. So I just pop that straight back over, and then always put one on the bottom as well so that you know you've got this part of it straight. So I've got the 4 elements here and they're all lined up. So I now know that I have got my piece of plastic in the right spot. And so that's the right spot for actually cutting it out. Okay. And so once you've drawn around the piece that's got the selvage on it, you can then grab your scissors. And I try not to cut into too much more of the fabric because all these other pieces are usable for another project if you wish. So try not to hack it too much because Tilda is so precious, we don't want to waste any. Okay, they're not the best scissors I could have picked up, but anyway, they'll do the trick. So now the reason why I have a small piece and a large piece of the template, now you could make 2 templates as long as you've got the markings in exactly the same spot, is because now what I like to do is I like to turn over my piece. So I turn it over, so I just get this piece back in here. So this is it here lined up, you can see there. And so what I like to do is to turn them both over. Okay? And so I'm going to remove my selvage. So I'm just going to take away that piece. Now I've gone and broken it, but that's okay. Rip off the bit of sticky tape. And then I like to pick up my template and then pop it back down. Now because I've turned it over, I've now reversed the pattern, so it'll line up again very easily, and you can see it through the back of the fabric. You don't need to draw on the front of the fabric, and because I'm using a permanent pen and I don't want to risk any marks being left on the front, this just makes it so simple. Okay, so that's what we do there. Then we just use the glue stick method, which I've shown many times before, but we are going to show you one more time. So we just pop a little line of glue, and so that the drawing of the shape on the back just shows you exactly where your paper's going to be, and you don't have to worry that it's not in the right spot, because you know, because you've lined up your pattern, you know you've got it in the right spot. So that works out really well. Okay, now when you're doing these sort of shapes, you have tails. You can see here that it has tails. So I'll show you what we do with those in a moment. So I'll just take the camera back out again for you. Here we go. And you can see over here that I have some shapes already done. So what we're going to do is a hanging star. And this little piece here is going to slot into our little star here like so. And you can see that the little rabbits are going to line up beautifully, and that the centre has that lovely little blue flower is now joined up to make a centre. So all we do with this is we get a couple of strands of a polyester thread. You can use a cotton one if you wish, whatever, but I use a polyester bottom line because it's nice and strong. And then we're just going to sew this in. So we whip stitch all the way down and we whip stitch all the way back up here, and then that will be our piece here slotted in. So I'll go and do that, come back, and then we'll start putting this together. Okay, there we go. So it's all sewn in, so you can see we now have a complete star. So what I've done to this plain one, because I've made a plain one for the back, so we're going to pop the front and the back together, and that's going to be our hanging EPP Christmas star ornament. Now you could fussy cut both sides. I didn't have enough fabric to do that, so because I've made this beautiful star here, but you could do that if you wanted to, but yeah. So anyway, the process is we're actually going to leave these papers in, and because you've got this little piece on the end here, which is where you've folded down your star bit, what I've done on the green one just to test it out is I've actually cut it back, and there's still going to be a tiny little bit that you'll need to put in when you're sewing it together, but I'm going to do exactly the same thing on this one. So all I did, these are like little tails. Just be careful that you don't snip the top fabric, but run your scissors underneath while you're holding it up this way, and you can see that you're not actually cutting the top fabric. So hopefully you can see that. And we're just going to snip those off. Okay, so what we're also going to do is we're going to hang a little bell off it, and then we need also a hanging element. So I'll just snip this final one off here. There we go. So we've got all our little tails off now. So I'm going to pop it so that the hanging element is coming up through the middle of these 2 points here, or any 2 points, it doesn't really matter which ones. But I'm going to use our normal method of running a bit of glue tape along just to hold down. Now I've got some gorgeous Christmas ribbon here from my Stamping Up stash. And I'm just going to cut off a piece, I don't know, that'll be about 5 inches possibly. And then we're just going to loop it down inside like this, so that when we come to stitch it, it's going to get locked up in the actual ornament. It's not sticking down there very well. Let's try again. There we go. Okay, so we're going to do the same sort of thing with some bells. I've got some little Christmas bells here that come in some muted colours. I think I might go with the gold. I think the red's a slightly different shade. And I've also got some gold twine here. This is also one of my Stamping Up ones. As you can see, it's been much loved and used. I have hardly any of it left. I have popped a little bit of sticky tape on the end because it does tend to fray, and I want to be able to poke it through the bell without it fraying too much. So I've done that there like that. Okay. So then I'm just going to snip it off. But what I am going to do with this is I'm actually going to do a little half knot so that it doesn't move around too much. I want it to sort of behave itself. Here we go. And the same thing, I'm just going to run some glue up into here, and this is going to be far too long, so we'll just snip a bit of that off, and then we will pop that up inside there like that. And you can see it's gone and frayed. It's actually designed to fray, but anyway, I'll fix that in a moment. But the idea of this is that we're going to pop these two together. Just get rid of my bell for a moment. We're going to pop these two together, and then we are just going to whip stitch. So we're going to get our needle and thread. Let me grab mine. Okay. And so we are just going to whip stitch around here, all the way around our stars. When you get to these points, make sure that you tuck in all those raw edges there and keep coming around until you get back to the start. There we go, it's all sewn together. So you can see I've just stitched all around all of these edges. I've given it a little bit of a press with the iron because it does want to curl up a bit, but that is also a nice look if you want to keep it like that. You can see here that it is curling a little bit, but it sort of gives the star a little bit of a 3D look. So that is how it will hang on the Christmas tree. Now I'm going to pop a bit of bling on the centre of mine. I've got some bling which is going to be featuring in the Woodland stitch along. If you're going to be buying one of the embellishment packs, you'll be getting some of this bling. So I'm going to just use my trusty tweezers so I don't burn my fingers, but I'm going to take some hot glue here, and I'm just going to carefully put some glue behind. Whoop, now it's fallen off. It's a bit hot. There we go. Just give that a bit of a press. And as you can see, that star does sort of sit up a little bit, which I think is a great look. It's a lovely little 3D look. And there we go. So there is my Christmas EPP, which is short for English Paper Piecing Star. So I hope that you've enjoyed today's project. I do hope that you give it a go. It's super easy. It's a great one to be using for scraps if you just want to do it scrappy, or you can actually fussy cut yours like I have mine. Anyway, that's it for this week. I'll catch you next week. Bye for now.